cares,
better,
man?
you know. Okay, so take two. The Shein's recent Rico charge, fashion and capitalism.
Okay.
Let's go.
So basically, we're talking about capitalist realism, and the idea that it's easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism.
But there was something else. How do we relate it to Shein?
Shein are exploiting their workers,
Yes.
and they got caught with a Rico charge.
Yeah.
Rico at it again.
Rico's at it again.
Rico's done it again. The thing is, I swear Rico charges are only reserved for like mafia or like gang members and stuff like that.
That's what I heard. Yeah.
You know,
No.
that's a pretty big deal that
Yeah.
Shein is getting hit with a Rico charge.
Literally.
But
it just shows how damaging exploitation is to people's lives.
Oh,
so you're going to compare exploitation by labour and working to, say, like drug addiction and the damage it has on people's lives from like the mafia, for example.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I have to agree with that. So I wrote my dissertation on exploitation of like migrant workers and stuff like that, right? And one of the biggest things that I learned was that like these companies, they literally do operate like gangs. Like they're actually called gang masters, is what we call them in academics.
But what I find interesting is that people, even though this has happened, people are still shopping in Shein.
Yeah.
It hasn't stopped their sales. It hasn't done anything to devastate their company.
True.
And I just think that partly, yes, it's to do with the cost of living. It's to do with the fact that fast fashion is accessible to all different types of income levels.
Yeah.
But I am like strongly an advocate for saving your money and buying something that will last you longer.
Yeah.
Like buying something of quality from a smaller brand, and I know that they can be hard to find and I know they're expensive.
Yeah.
But when you found them and you've got those staple pieces that are going to last you, they help develop your identity, your style, the things that you like to wear time and time again. But you just need to get those staples and buy them from a reputable independent label, or even just a place that does really good quality items.
Yeah, I agree. Like I 100% agree with that. And like, you know, it links back to the topic of exploitation, because how do you think these independent labels are making their clothes? Because last time I checked, they aren't doing them in sweatshops, you know?
Yeah.
They're not doing them, like the people that work in these independent labels, they are making it and they're getting the money from it.
Yeah.
Directly.
And also think about it this way. Look, most of the people, like I studied fashion design, right? I interned for free at independent labels. Most of the kids who are interning for free, whose labour are being exploited, they're coming from middle class houses, they're coming from middle class homes. They have a net to fall in, most of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, even though, okay, yes, labour is still being exploited in those areas, it's not to the extent, anywhere near the extent of Shein.
Yeah, 100%,
anywhere.
100%, I agree. 100%. And at the end of the day, right, even so, like some of these independent fashion labels, you know, they might even be owned by the people making the clothes. You know, like I know there was this one fashion label in America, I keep seeing it in my TikTok feed. She literally operates a company where like all of her workers have an equal stake in the company. So like whenever they make money, they all get the money. And I think it was like, I can't remember the specific number, but I think that they all make on average like 40-50k.
That's pretty good.
Which is like very, very impressive.
I'm very jealous, but it's not even might. It's not even might. Like most of the people, especially a lot of London-based brands, the owner has a significant creative contribution to their company.
Yeah.
And even if they're not making the clothes themselves, they are sourcing it from a lot more reputable and sort of legitimate manufacturing companies.
Yeah.
And they're making it in much smaller batches as well.
Yeah.
So that's why it's also a bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a way of testing the quality of items of clothing so that you know that, okay, this is sewn with a double barrel stitch. It's going to last a lot longer than something sewn with an overlocker, for example.
Yeah.
And just different ways that you learn to tell the quality of clothing so that you know that it's going to last longer.
Yeah. That's interesting, actually. I need to.
Yeah, I think it's a skill that honestly everybody should know, because like even within like Zara, for instance, or H&M, there will be different levels of quality of clothing.
Yeah.
So for instance, there might be two pairs of work office black trousers.
Yeah.
One will be, let's say, £10 more expensive than the other one, but it's significantly better made.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are ways of just being able to tell. How about you talk about What you're talking about the fact that we couldn't see the end of capitalism.
So, in this guy's book, I forgot his name. It's called Capitalism. It's called Capitalist Realism. And it's basically the idea that it's easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism. And the thing is, there are many, many reasons for it. And like, you know, it is hard for me to summarize like a Lord knows how many pages long that book is, right? But the main gist of why it's hard for us to imagine the end of, or it's hard for us to imagine the end of capitalism compared to how we can imagine the end of the world is because, firstly, the world literally is ending under capitalism. You know, because of like the capitalist society we live in, we have things like climate change. Climate change was not really a thing before we started drilling for oil and trying to appeal to, like for example, you know, had like Shell and all these oil companies damaging the environment just to make profit for their shareholders. That was a really thing for capitalism. And a lot of other things, exploitation of labor, wages falling. The whole cost of living crisis that we're in right now is a result of real wages stagnating. That is despite the fact that productivity has been rising. We've had technological advancements. And so basically the overarching point is the fact that under capitalism, the world is slowly being exploited and slowly being drained away. And so it is easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism. That's why we start looking to alternatives, start looking to ways of moving towards a new system of organizing the economy, whether that be through workers organizing and ending like exploitation. Rights as well is another big thing. The 4-day week is a huge example of something that can be implemented. That's going to lead to a lot more people being less depressed, people being less anxious, going to work, etc., right?
And also having more freedom of thought.
Exactly.
So this conversation arose because I mentioned that because there were more people pursuing entrepreneurship, potentially this could be or lead into the demise of capitalism. Because as there are more people leaving the monopoly companies or being laid off, they're moving to more entrepreneurships, making them stronger, or pursuing their own companies, which will eventually potentially balance out the playing field.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you don't really want to be working 9 to 5 your whole life. You know, it's complete BS. It's not true.
And why does that have to be the aim? Like, why do you have to be validated by your job? And why do you have to be validated by living a very nuclear sort of lifestyle?
Exactly.
If maybe that's your aim, but then also, for instance, something that I have been finding very interesting is how more and more people are telling women who don't want to have families to pursue running their own company, and how that is now becoming the new starting your own family, like having to pursue your own business.
That's very true.
But that isn't for everyone. Like I actually, for instance, I prefer freelancing, but I don't prefer the idea of pursuing a business, for instance. I think that why can't it be, you know, I climbed a mountain today, but can't it be I achieved a hike, or I want to run a marathon,
I
want
agree.
to, like, you know, there are so many other fucking things. I want to travel the world. I want to, there are so many other options.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think that we're going to see more of sharing of the profits, like equally.
Yeah.
Because that's something that more and more people would want to pursue and actually get on board with. And to be honest, what separates you from this business owner? You are a capable, qualified, skilled individual who has skilled labor to offer.
Exactly.
So
but like the thing is, the funniest part is that half of the time, it's not even like this is how it goes half of the time, right? You have one guy who might come up with the idea, but they're in a team, you know, and like they might have come up with one part of the idea, but the team came up with the rest of the part of the idea. But the main thing is that this one person has loads of money.
Yeah.
And that's why they're there.
Got loads of power.
Exactly, you've got loads of money, loads of power. So the team needs them in order to contribute that money, in order to make that idea into a business that's hugely successful.
Yeah.
And that's how you get big companies like Twitter, like Facebook. Like remember the movie? Like what's that movie called, man?
Social Network.
Social Network. That's a whole movie about how Mark Zuckerberg screwed over another Donny just to gain a bunch of power and shit. He wasn't even necessarily the guy that came up with the idea of Facebook.
Yeah.
You know?
And you know
but
what?
he gets recognition.
Yes, sorry. You know what it reminds me of? So recently there was a bit of controversy between you don't actually know this TV show, but Sex and the City, like the cast members of Sex and the City,
Oh, okay. Fair.
where Kim Cattrall, who played Samantha, was demanding higher wages from Sarah Jessica Parker, who played
Sarah Jessica Parker.
oh my god, she played do you see what I mean? I can't remember her name right now. She plays Carrie in Sex and the City. So Carrie was the main character.
Yeah.
However, the name of the TV show was called Sex and the City.
Yeah.
And who was actually pursuing sexual expression and freedom? It was the character Samantha.
Okay.
Whereas Carrie's character was, she was always getting into some kind of weird situation with Big and you know, rejecting Ada, and Big didn't want her. Basically, she was just getting into these random situationships.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually about sex.
Sorry, this is a side note, right? I feel like I didn't know what a situationship was until last year.
Okay.
And that, I feel like it would have helped me a lot if I knew what that word meant
Really?
before last year. Because I've kind of, yeah, like,
Interesting.
I've had some, there are some things that kind of, looking back at it, I'm like, if I knew what that was,
Interesting.
I would not have made that decision.
Mm.
But anyways, continue
Okay.
saying. I just thought break up the seriousness, you know?
Okay.
Add a bit of humour.
So ultimately, Sarah Jessica Parker, I think she got paid £1 million per episode, whereas the
1
other
million?
girls were paid something like
For what?
200,000 per episode. But
Still
seeing
getting
as
paid,
I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's like in comparison.
Yeah, true.
And bearing in mind that it's the four of them who are making this TV show, like take away Samantha from the cast,
Yeah.
and their newest TV show, it's nothing like the original TV show because
Yeah,
there's no sex. It's called Sex and the City.
Yeah.
It has to include like something to do with sex.
Yeah.
Samantha actually goes through these different realizations, this very
Like
interesting pathway.
she's like a main character.
She is a main character and she's adding the spice to the TV show.
Yeah.
So now she's going to do her own thing because they didn't offer her wages.
Yeah.
And nobody's watching the new show because it's boring.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's so interesting.
So, and in comparison to like the cast of Friends, for instance, where all of them split their wages equally because they knew them were making the show, and if you took one person away, it's not going to be the show anymore.
And you know what's funny? Like, I feel like that perfectly links to another topic. I don't know if we have enough time. Okay, well, real quick, I guess it's something to talk about later on as it unfolds. But that perfectly links to the actor strike that's going on. Black Mirror just predicted the future.
Okay.
Do you know?
Which episodes? Joan is bad?
Joan is bad.
Really?
Because that's the reason why they're striking. So what Netflix wants to do, what these streaming services want to do, is they want the right to be able to pay actors like $200, right? Like just one payment.
Right.
And they have the right to use their face, like their AI model their face in anything they want.
Shit. That's very scary.
And they never have to pay the actors ever again.
I bet it's more than £200. Probably 200,000 maybe.
No.
It's $200.
It's literally like, I think, I need to find the video.
That is insulting.
It was nowhere near £200,000.
That should be enough. Close. They should pay them at least enough to sustain themselves for years.
It shouldn't even be a thing.
I mean, yeah, that's true.
Like, it shouldn't even be, but like, or like they should be able to pay them like enough money for like a lifetime.
Yeah, literally.
You know?
But no, I agree that it shouldn't actually even be a thing.
Yeah.
That's so dystopian and scary.
Literally.
Like, we are going into the most freaky world with this whole.
There's already been a lot of messed up things.
There's a lot. There was a whole documentary about people making porn with deepfake of their colleagues.
No, I saw that. It happened to a Twitch streamer as well. There's a lot of messed up things, you know.
But it just sort of disturbs me, like, what is wrong with the human race? This is what we're using this technology to do.
Nah, I think like there's definitely some issues, like, I don't even know, man. It's technology, but this links back to capitalism because war's a fundamental thing behind a lot of these things. Money.
Yeah.
You know, money and like one person profiting off of it. So.
I mean, we could also talk about, if we're going to go into AI, which I think will probably be another topic because I need to go, but there will definitely need to be like either training to recognize AI for regular people to recognize when it's AI, or people who are trained in being able to recognize AI.
That's
like deepfake,
very, very interesting.
or something like that, so that we're able to differentiate that from real life.
Yeah, someone who's actually trained to be able to determine.
Because what is the world going to look like? Sorry. What
That's
is the
so
world
true.
going to look like when you can manipulate anything to become anything you want?
Yeah.
Nobody's going to believe anything anymore.
Yeah.
What is the truth? And are we still out here, like, waiting for the tea to come with images and videos when that can be manipulated too?
Yeah, exactly.
How will we know what is real and fake?
Yeah, that's so true.
Okay, let's wrap this
That's
up.
getting so deep.
It's getting really deep. I need to go. So thank you, Thomas, for being a part of this, very brief thingy-majiggy.
Yeah.
Would you like to?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I feel like we've been trying to record this podcast episode for like, I don't even know how long, since I've been trying to do my exams. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, I kept pushing it back, and I'm sorry about that, but.
Honestly, I also feel like myself, I was going through a bit of lacking inspiration.
Yeah.
I needed to find inspiration, and I will be coming back with more because I would like to continue doing this and take you on this journey with me, and thank you for being there.
Alright, cool.
Thank you for supporting me. If you are supporting me, if you're not, okay, whatever. Anyway, enjoy your evening and everything. Take care of yourself.
Sick.